So why are things the way they are on our homestead? Why are the rabbits here, the chickens here, the cows over there, the pigs are over there, the goats are going to be over here? I'll let you know. So when I first moved to Quebec in 2017 and moved in with Bridget, we were actually living in this house, but we were living in this side, renting it from Bridget's sister who lived in this side. And we did that for quite a while. So we kind of kept that part of the property for our use, and she kept kind of that side of the property for her use. So this is the door we actually used as our front door when we were living here for a number of years. And it only made sense for us to stick our garden over in that corner there. The one thing that was already here is the swing sets. And we parked right where I'm standing. And we have the trampoline over there on the grass. And it kind of made sense to put it back out of the way. So that's where we decided to put the garden. Now for some reason, we figured it would be good to put the chickens over here. So the chickens were actually here for a while, and we only had a small little shelter for them. And that shelter is now actually being used as the pig shelter. We kind of recycled it to use it there. So having sort of this half of the property, it kind of made sense for us to put the chickens right here and the garden over on that side. It was a short walk from the house over to the chickens. There's a kind of a short walk over to the gardens as well. So it was really easy to manage, and we parked right here. And then what happened, as anyone with chickens knows, is you kind of start working on the chicken math, and more chickens start being added. So the house, the chicken coop that we had for the Chanticleer chickens was not big enough. We got some egg-laying chickens to kind of complement the Chanticleer and just produce eggs for us. So then we decided we needed something bigger to keep all the chickens in. So we built half of that shed, chicken coop, and the chickens got moved to there. And then we got meat chickens. So we decided we'd put the meat chickens in here and move the other chickens back to the other coop. However, we wanted the meat chickens free range, so this just wasn't working. And we also decided we still needed more room for the chickens, so we built an addition on. So it went from, I believe it was a 6 by 12 shed, chicken coop, out to a 12 by 12. Then we were able to store our feed and other stuff in here. We also built on the back fenced area so that they'd have somewhere to go in the winter, or we keep them there in the spring when we've just seeded and planted so they don't tear everything up. So as that was happening, we got rabbits from Bridget's dad, and we added those in. So we put those over by the chickens as well in the big chicken coop. And that was okay, but we're realizing we're running out of room. And during that time, Bridget's sister, who was living here, decided she was going to build her own place. So she actually had a piece of land severed off from this property years ago. So she actually used that and built her own place. And we bought the entire homestead from her. So now we live in the entire house, which gave us access to the rest of the property. So when that happened, we decided we're going to move the meat chickens over here. So the meat chickens now are at the back of the garage. They've got this little shelter here where we put them in at night, and we have a portable electric fence that goes around them so they can forage through all this area, and we have electricity hookup in the garage for the electric fence. Now they are right across from the cows here, as well as the pigs who are just over here. And during that time, when we were working on purchasing the house and the property, we knew we wanted cows and pigs as well. So this entire area was actually all forest. And what we did is we started clearing this tree line down here, or the fence line down here, and a cut through the other side. So it made this small field right here for the cows, and we included this section right here for the pigs. And you can see the shelter right there for the pigs was actually the old chicken coop. So now the plan is that we have the entire property, it's all ours. We kind of know that we want to keep the cows for sure. The pigs are a great asset, so we're going to continue to do them. The chickens for eggs, the chickens for meat, and we will probably continue the rabbits as well. But we're also adding goats into the mix because we want to get off our reliance on the grocery store for our dairy products. So we want to start doing our own milk, our own butter, our own cheese. So with the cows here, the pigs here, we figure we might as well put the goats right here, all in the same area. And it's close to the house, so we'll be able to just come over and milk the goats every morning easily. Our plan is to fence in this entire area and put 2 shelters in here for the goats. Now, the problem with that is we eventually want a big barn to house almost all the animals. So we're debating putting the barn here, which is one of our trails, which is fine because we don't need this trail. We can move stuff around. Then it's right across from the cows, and we could always put sort of like a gate across this driveway here so the cows could go back and forth to the barn. But then we were thinking, wouldn't it be nicer to put the barn kind of beside the garage? Since we have electricity there, it would be nice to run water over to this section. We can have the meat chickens access the barn. We can have the cows access the barn. The pigs don't need to because we don't keep them through the winter. But if we get some heritage breeds, then we could always figure out some way for them to access the barn. We can move the egg chickens over here and the rabbits over here, so everyone's in the barn. The problem with putting the barn over here beside the garage is, again, pig access and goat access, which we want to do over there. So we're still working on where we're actually going to put the barn. But the eventual plan is to have the barn house all the animals, or actually so all the animals can access it. They can all keep each other warm in the barn. We have water just going to the barn, electricity going to the barn. If we need to milk the goats, we can do it in the barn. If we have heritage pigs and they have a litter of little piglets, well, they'll be safe in the barn. So that's kind of where we're at with trying to figure out where the barn's going to go. Our Highlands don't really need a barn, but you know, it's nice if they have something. They do have this shelter right here, but if we had a barn too where they could come in, get out of the really cold stuff, that'd be great as well. So Sirloin here, our little baby, we had to bottle feed him for a bit when he was born because he wasn't nursing. So if we actually had a barn where, you know, we could move him and his mom into, again, it would be easier than what we were doing is catching him in the paddock or in the field, and then he'd actually escape from the field too, and we'd feed him that way when he escaped. but having a barn would have been easier. So guys, I hope that kind of explains why stuff is where it is on our property. If we had actually purchased a bare piece of land and built up from there, we probably would have put everything together in a barn and had fields going off the barn so each animal could access it and access the fields. As it is now, this is the way we have to do it. So guys, thanks again for checking out the video. If you have any questions about our setup, why we have things the way they are, if that didn't explain it, we can definitely let you know. We can definitely suggest stuff too if you're moving on to a homestead and you're trying to build a barn or build outbuildings for your animals as well. We can help you overcome some of the mistakes we made. Anyway, thanks again guys. We'll talk to you soon. Love ya.